Next question, I'll combine a couple related to law enforcement. First, can you speak to how you would vote for law enforcement contracts for unincorporated towns and generally how you would support local law enforcement?
As a domestic violence survivor and a parent, community safety is something that's very important to me, and I take a very broad view of what community safety means. I did have some concerns with the Tiffin contract because, in general, the Sheriff's Department provides law enforcement coverage for towns that do not have their own agencies under the sheriff's purview. The sheriff, they don't have their own, like, specific officers, to my understanding, are not assigned to specific cities, whereas this Tiffin contract was a little bit different in that they were asking for over time 5 more officers to be hired who will be county employees but will be serving only Tiffin. And that just seems like a very inequitable use of resources to be using county money to serve one city only when we don't do that for the other cities that don't have their own law enforcement agencies. And I'm wondering what happens if Tiffin does decide to create their own police department and we have hired these additional sheriffs now that are now under the sheriff's department.
Thank you. On to our next question, which, if I'm keeping track of this right, we'll be starting with you, Ms. Porter,
Yes.
which is, what have you done or will you do about growing food insecurity in our county?
So I used to be on food stamps for quite a long time, and I am now in that what they call the wage gap, where I make just over the line for any kind of housing assistance, food assistance, anything like that, but not quite enough to really get through the month. We tend to run out of fresh produce and milk in the last week of the month. As I'm a state employee, I get paid once on the first. Stretching that through the whole month is hard. That's why I'm a member of the Iowa Hunger Coalition. They recently asked me to be a board member. I told them that I'm pursuing Board of Supervisors, so I can't really take any other additional responsibilities at this moment. I'm also a member of the Free School Meals for All Iowa Coalition, and we need to pressure the state to pass Senate File 2039. I spoke at the Capitol regarding the governor's refusal to accept free federal money for kids. That was actually in Mother Jones published an article regarding my speech at the Capitol, and I will continue to be loud and pursue legislative advocacy about that, and I would like the county to make formal statements on that bill.
Our next one begins with Ms. Remington. We depend on our elected officials to work with people whose viewpoints are often very different and come to a resolution. Can you give us an example of a time when you strongly disagreed with a colleague? What was the issue? What did you do? And how was it resolved?
Absolutely. Most recently, we just had I don't know what the coalition is called, that Vietnam. What is it, the new one?
The Trans Advisory Task Force?
Yeah, what is it?
Trans Advisory Task Force.
Trans Advisory Task Force. When this was brought to the Board of Supervisors, I didn't agree with it. I didn't because it was put together. I didn't agree with it because of what was going on. I disagreed with it because of just a certain group of people. And when they were saying a certain group of people was being treated unfairly, I thought that then this was a group should be put together for all people, all residents. We have a lot of people in this county that feel that they're being treated unfairly. So one of the things that I was able to do was to think about how I'm on the federal level. I go out to Washington, D.C., and how I can advocate on behalf. I thought about how I can advocate on behalf of them out in Washington, D.C. Because of what's happening in the state level. No matter what we do here, we can't do anything here. Everything is down in the state level. So I can take their concerns and everything, and that's what I plan on doing in February, taking their concerns and their issues and taking it down to Washington, D.C., advocating on their behalf.
For our next question, starting with Ms. Porter, please explain your experience managing and supervising employees and managing budgets.
Absolutely. I've been on the Board of Supervisors for 5.5 years. When I came on, I had no experience whatsoever. Before I ran for county supervisor, I literally attended Kirkwood and took an accounting class because I thought that I would have to literally know the numbers. But being that we have a finance department, I have nothing to do with I have nothing to do with having to worry about the budget. We have we as a county, as the supervisors, we all go down and work our budget. But as far as literally having to work with the budget, we have a finance team. They are the experts on that. So that's where I stand.
So combining those two answers, my experience with managing budgets is that each department and each office has the person at the head, at the helm there, managing their budget. Not with the elected offices, but with the departments. We are liaisons to each department in pairs, and we meet with them monthly. So as we go through the liaison checklist, one of the things is, where are you at on your budget? Where are you at on revenues? Where are you at on expenses? And there are certain departments where, their expenses are kind of outpacing their revenues. And then it catches up. So we know what departments those are. It's just a matter of getting billing and that. They manage it. But we do ask questions when we go through the budget process, which is about a 3.5-month long process. Thankfully, it's not 4.5 like it once was. But we ask questions of each department head, and then we make decisions on what they would like to have included in their next year's budget. So that's my experience with it. And as I said to our treasurer earlier, I don't have to know the number. It's written down somewhere, but I do have to be able to ask the right questions when everyone comes in with their budgets.
My first supervisory management experience was when I was 17 years old working at the Taco Bell that used to be in the old Capitol Mall. It was the only place that was open after bar close, so I was often managing that place until 3 a.m. We were the only place that was open until 3 or 4 back then. As far as budgets go, I also ran an in-home childcare, so I had to budget and do my own taxes for all of that, and I also had employees. And as the vice chair of the University of Iowa Council on the Status of Women, we have funds and we have a budget that I help with. That's me and the chair that run that budget. And that's for, again, it's the Council of the Status of Women for both the healthcare and academic side.
So next one, what would be your response if the sheriff and county legal system asked for major updates to the county's decade-old jail that is currently too small for its population?
I would say that first off, I would like us to focus on decreasing our jail population through diversion programs and also by not putting nonviolent offenders in jail and ending cash bail. Beyond that, I'm waiting to see the space needs study that's being done on the jail to see what is actually needed. I support changes that protect the health and safety of inmates and of the employees there. I do not support changes that would increase capacity.
Our final question, although we have many here that I regret we don't have time to get to, we'll start with Ms. Green Douglas, which is, what is one issue that we have not addressed here that you would like to raise?
In a time where our state government is continually coming after more and more groups of residents and passing legislation that is attacking LGBTQ folks, attacking immigrant folks, and closing our AEAs, doing all of these things that are understandably not within a county's purview, I do think that the county can be doing more legislative advocacy. I am a single parent raising 3 children on my own, and I have been to the Capitol 4 times using my vacation time from my job to advocate for these things. And I would like to see the county making formal statements on legislation, making formal statements on bills, and joining some of these lawsuits that are already happening against some of this legislation. I have experienced this community from about every possible angle. I have needed emergency childcare and I have provided childcare. I have been a DVIP client and I have organized, networked, and hosted events with DVIP. And it does not matter what 5 people are. No 5 people are ever going to know everything that needs to be known. But as I network with hundreds of organizations across the community, and as I have lived here since I was 17 and become intimately involved with so many different factions of our community, I know who the people affected are, and I know who the experts are, and I am ready to bring them all to the table. Also, if you want to know what kind of a supervisor I will be, you can look at how I spend what little time and money that I have now. In addition to the things that I have already mentioned tonight, I am a member of the Johnson County Affordable Housing Coalition. I attend those meetings on Zoom. I am a member of the Iowa Hunger Coalition. I attend those meetings. I am a member of the Trans Advisory Task Force. I am a trustee for AFSCME 12. These are all things that I do on the little time that I have after working my full-time job and raising my 3 children. And if you give me those 40 hours a week that I am putting into my full-time job to put into this community, I promise you, I will work hard for you and you will be happy with the results. Give me that chance. Vote for me on or before June 4th. Thank you.